My name is Brittany Contreras, and I am a student and a full-time worker with First Command Financial Services. I am currently in the leadership development field where we create better leaders. I have 3 little boys. One's at 14, one's 12, and then we have our 3-year-old. Faith is what I have when I walk with God. Faith is what I do daily. I always have faith in everything and with Him. Truthfully, my relationship with Jesus needs some work. I think everyone has this huge assumption that when you're a Christian, you have everything put together. Everything's tied up in a little bow, and you're like, oh, I wish I was that person. But internally, for me, I feel that my relationship with Jesus needs to grow. There is a path that I walk, and there is that humor and stuff that I get with Jesus, and I understand, and I want to understand more. I want to learn everything. And how can you learn something if you don't physically walk with Him and learn that from Him? So for me, I'm not put together. I don't have that little bow tied up and everything's perfect in my life and everything that my faith, it needs some work. I think just like everything else, it just needs some work. There's times where I'm like, what is going on here? Like everything around me is falling into chaos. And with that sense, you just have to know, you have to believe, you have to have faith that everything will be better. And when someone comes up to you and was like, Brittany, how are you feeling today? The go-to answer is, oh, I'm great, everything's fine. Boys are doing great, husband's doing great, family's doing great, we're all just perfect. When it's okay to say, I don't know. I really don't know how I'm feeling. Everything's around me is just crumbling. But at the same time, I might just need to talk to somebody about it. Do you think you have a minute to talk about why everything's crumbling around me? So I think that most people need to be more vulnerable to that it's okay to have that vulnerability, to say, I'm not okay. I am not. But I just need someone to talk to. I find hope in my family. I find hope in the scripture. I find hope in meditation, in praying. I find hope by helping people. And for me, when I feel like everything's coming around me, someone's sick, someone is divorcing somebody that I love, someone is not feeling well, someone is having some mental issues. Those are all things that can crumble on somebody. And you, as a person, as a human, you don't control any of that. And so that hope for me comes when I know I can't handle all of this by myself. I can't have that responsibility on myself because it's not in my hands, and it never will be in my hands. So when I have that situation where I'm like, what do? I turn to scripture. I turn to Jesus. My husband, unfortunately, had a horrible experience within a church, the Seventh-day Adventist Community Church. And so whenever I was interested in Seventh-day Adventist community and going to church, he was a little gun shy about that. He's like, no, I've been burnt once. I don't really want to do that again. So throughout all of our relationship and our marriage, it was constantly, let's go here, let's try this church. I think you'll like this church. And so we bounced around from church to church, trying to figure out where we belong. And it was hard. It was hard trying to figure out what church suited us. And I found out that not every church is the same. And there was some things that we liked about one church, but then they were taken away, such as we really liked the pastor at one church and we were there for like 2 years without joining because we were kind of gun shy on that. And he would leave. So we're like, okay, let's try to find a different church now. So we went through multiple churches. And my mother-in-law and father-in-law were very supportive. They were like, try this church out, try that church out. There's a church that we found in Waxahachie. There's a church we found. We went about an hour, 2 hours away just to find a church that we liked. And it took us a while, and then we landed here. And we were here for about a year before COVID hit. And when COVID hit, it kind of reeled us back again. We're like, what's going to change with this church now? Because we have this whole thing about every time we go to church, something changes. We like a church, something's wrong. And we were guided to Keene, where my husband grew up, and back to his roots. And he was like, I like this. I'm like, I bet you do. I mean, you came from here. And then having that possibility of the church shutting down because of COVID, that was devastating for us. And we were very thankful that y'all did the podcasts and everything to keep us engaged. And so whenever the church finally came back together with the masks, me and my husband looked at each other one day and we're like, this is it. This is where we want to be. After so many years of bouncing from church to church, we found our church home. My name is Brittany, and I find hope in love.